Another video to try and build up the women's division in the WWE with what would be my fantasy build for Money in the Bank 2023. This time we have to go over on SmackDown. So we're coming off of Asuka cheating to beat Bianca, and they seem like they're just going to give another pretty basic build. I think I would want to stall that rematch for as long as possible while building up Asuka as a more heel villain, and maybe even give her a few friends who can help her out, maybe even form her own little group. So here are my ideas for how I would book June for the Asuka title reign on SmackDown. On the June 9th SmackDown, my key to Asuka for now is to make her more villainous, mostly more villainous to kind of annoy the smarks, because the smarks in the audience always want to cheer Asuka over some of the baby faces like Bianca. And that's not what pro wrestling is to me. So I just want more villains being villains. And what is one key to make the smarks annoyed? With a wrestler, don't let Asuka wrestle on television much. They want to cheer her for her matches. Well, don't put matches on TV. So on the June 9th SmackDown, Asuka is trying to duck a rematch with Bianca. But not only that, she is scheduled for a match with Shotzi. But after entrances and during introductions, as they're introducing Shotzi to be facing Asuka, Asuka would miss Shotzi before the match even starts, getting the mist in her eyes. So Shotzi is hurt before there could even be a match. And then Asuka would throw a beat down on Shotzi until Bianca Belair makes the save. I do like that they're having Bianca have more of an edge here on recent SmackDowns, and I think that Bianca should have an edge here in this potential brawl with Asuka to save Shotzi from a beatdown. However, one of my favorite watchers that comments a lot on my videos, Brando Lee, if you happen to watch this video, he brought up a good point in one of my recent videos about old school wrestling and how the brawls actually look like brawls, and I talked about how nobody can throw an actual working punch anymore. Like, if you're going to do these brawls, we got to teach wrestlers again, at the very least, how to throw better punches to make them look better, and don't make them look just weak and just terrible. Like, sometimes they'll be throwing these fake punches at each other. It looks so bad. So hopefully, if I was Booker, I'd make Asuka and Bianca work on some punches before getting into that brawl. And honestly, most times, the men look worse than the women when it comes to throwing work punches. I'll talk about this again in another fantasy booking idea I have in the coming days. On the June 16th SmackDown, Adam Pearce gets word that he must force Asuka to have a rematch with Bianca Belair, and Belair wants it tonight. However, in a side story that will try and tie Isla and Alba Fyre to Asuka, in my opinion, I would have both Isla and Alba Fyre lost Money in the Bank qualifiers to women on SmackDown. Maybe have Isla lose to Mia Yim, and how about have Alba Fyre lose to Io Sky. But basically, after their losses, they want to try and find their way onto the main roster, and Isla has an idea. Isla has a crystal ball. They try and tease these two as kind of mystical characters that the WWE likes to have, which I don't always hate, but it has to be done well. I would have Isla use her crystal ball to try and help her and Alba Fyre find out what their path is on SmackDown, and I would have Asuka's face pop up on the crystal ball, which makes Isla and Alba Fyre think this needs to be their new queen. And then backstage, I would have Asuka sneak up on Bianca Belair during one of her backstage promos, try and missed Belair during the back to try and get out of the match they're supposed to have tonight for the title. She would miss Bianca the first time and take a beating by the babyface, but then missed her the second time. I would say that even while Bianca is misted by her eyes, and I know some people hate this because they want to call Bianca Super Cena, there's nothing wrong with that. I would have Super Bianca, even though she's blinded by the mist, still be able to pick up Asuka and slam her down, but officials will have to break up the match, and after a doctor looks in Bianca's eyes, she is not able to compete for the title tonight. This also, once again, keeps Asuka from having to actually wrestle on TV. Piss off the smarks. Luckily for the WWE these days, it's a double-edged sword, though. There's not a lot of smart fans in the audience on some of these shows these days. There's not the whole NXT crowd from years ago, the black and gold years, taking over crowds on Raw and SmackDown. But the unfortunate part of that is you get a lot of crowds now that just sit on their hands and are very quiet in the WWE, so much so that the WWE has to pipe in noise. But I still want to make sure Asuka comes across like a villain. On the June 23rd SmackDown, Isla and Alba Fyre are shown going into Asuka's locker room, but the door closes behind them. And Bianca is getting her title rematch tonight after not getting it last week. And of course, once again, Asuka and Bianca are out before the match starts. And right as the title match is about to start, once again, Asuka getting out from having to wrestle Bianca in a rematch, Alba Fyre and Isla Dawn come out and distract Bianca, and she is misted once again by a laughing Asuka. And I would have, once again, Super Bianca can fight off Alba Fyre and Isla Dawn while blinded for a little while. But sometimes Bianca has these over-the-top reactions to the mist, which sometimes I like, but sometimes it's too much. I would have her, being hurt from the mist, but have her be able to still fight off the villains for a little while. She is the babyface hero here. But then I would have an Asuka come and attack her with like a flying knee or something, putting Bianca down. I would have Alba Fyre and Isla Dawn try and hold Bianca, which they struggle to do at first because Bianca's so strong. They struggle to hold her down, but then they do, and Asuka misses her a second time in the eyes. And then it becomes a 3-on-1 beatdown until Shotzi makes the save, like Bianca saved her a couple weeks ago on SmackDown. On the go-home SmackDown for Money in the Bank, word comes in that Bianca has been misted so much over the last couple of months that her eyes are damaged. She will not be able to have a match against Asuka at Money in the Bank. You could have, I saw Jimmy Valiant do this on Mid-Atlantic during a mist from the Ninja back in 1982 in one of my mini documentaries on this channel. How he had to play it like one eye was damaged by the mist. You could do that here with Bianca. She can't fight for who knows how long because her eye is hurt from the mist. And you could have the smarks in England be sad that they won't be able to see Bianca wrestle because she does put on bangers in title matches. And they go very underappreciated. And now you could start building Bianca back up as a babyface. She has some sympathy on her from all of these mist. She wants to fight Asuka, but Asuka keeps getting away from having to fight her, make more people upset with Asuka. You don't get to see Asuka in these title matches on TV. Bianca comes out with her hurt one eye, patched up, and Bianca wants Shotzi to take her place at Money in the Bank. Laughing maniacally on the screen, Asuka can threaten to damage Shotzi's eyes like she did to Bianca's. So that is my idea for Asuka's title reign on SmackDown in June. It makes Asuka a more maniacal villain, possibly a bit of a cartoon, but she's already kind of a cartoon in my opinion. But I think she can be more of a villain, which I think is necessary, and giving her Isla Dawn and Alba Fyre as possible a future team here together could also make her more scary as a champion. Bianca's now out of action thanks to an eye injury, and Granted, I am starting to notice I like to do injury storylines in my booking. I have, well, Cody's already happened by the WWE, and I have him in a match at Money in the Bank. But you got Jay out after being hit by a car. You have doctors not clearing Bianca with her eye. You have Shinsuke Nakamura not being able to compete because of a concussion thanks to Logan Paul. Maybe went overboard on that plot device, but it's a stalling tactic because you can't always. I don't think rematches need to happen every month. You know, keep it interesting. So now Asuka will have to face Shotzi for the title. Not that Shotzi's been built up to be any kind of force to reckon with against Asuka, but it's a stall tactic, and it gets Shotzi in a prominent matchup, which is, you know, needed for her as a character on screen.